What do you get when you mix concrete, a waterproof driver, and a little artistic flair? Hopefully a great looking and great sounding speaker for my backyard pavilion. This project isn't about building a hi-fi system. It's about building something that is outdoor music in my backyard, looks great, sounds good, and I'd love to have in my pavilion. Welcome back to Timber West Design, where we talk timber, shade structures, and outdoor living. What are my goals for this project? 1, outdoor ready. I need a speaker enclosure that can handle the elements, the sun, the wind, the rain, whatever it's going to get outside. 2, waterproof components. I have a waterproof driver and some waterproof connections to wire it all up. 3, this is for background music, not an audiophile system. I just need good, clear sound for my outdoor pavilion. 4, it's got to be visually appealing. It's going to be art, not just a box. 5, it's got to be something durable. This is going to be made out of concrete and it's going to last outside. And 6, it's got to be fun to build, because what's the point if it's not fun to build? Let's talk about speaker enclosure shapes, because that box that you put your driver in, that affects how it sounds. In a regular rectangular speaker box, you've got flat parallel walls. Sound waves bounce straight back and forth, which creates standing waves, and that muddies the sound. So I designed a tapered enclosure. When the back is more narrow than the front, it helps scatter reflections. That gives you smoother, cleaner sound, even outdoors where reflections from room walls aren't a factor. And these drivers, they're totally waterproof. I was on the phone with the tech support guy at Parts Express. I asked him how these would do outside. He said you could eat cereal out of these things. He said this is like a cereal bowl. I'm like, really? What? Wow, he was right. I started out with this shape. Now I needed 5.6 liters of volume inside for this speaker to work properly. This didn't do anything for me, so you know what? I decided to put a twist on there. I was like, okay, now we're talking. I like the look of this. So we have to split it in half, the long ways, and then this is what the tool looks like. I got 4 internal pieces. I got 5 external pieces, and the light blue represents the concrete. So let's send this to the printer, as the printer's going to be busy on this one. It's gratifying to take your digital design and see it come to life. Here's the time lapse, because nobody wants to watch a printer print for 12 hours. Let's watch it hustle instead. The 3D printer's been busy. Got all these parts to put together. So there's 2 ways I can do this. One is I individually take each part and put mold release on it. Or in this case, I'm going to put sections together and then put mold release. So I have an outer section and I have an inner section. Got the outer core bolted together, I've got the inner core put together, so we'll put mold release on both of these. And then I take my foam brush and I just kind of make sure it gets everywhere. So we'll go through that, do that to both sides, and then we'll get to assembly. Both surfaces have mold release, so now this just nestles in like so. This straddles right here. I'll put a bolt through here. This sits in here, gives me a consistent wall thickness all the way around. And we'll get this ready. I'll start mixing some concrete. This is a little bit of a tight pour. We'll see if we can do this without making a huge mess. I think we're doing pretty good so far. Alright, starting to get full. Let's see, yep, coming up the other side. Time for the spatula. I just want to tap this, kind of helps get some air out, also levels it off some. It's like I got a little bit of a low spot here. Just add a little bit more, and I think we're looking pretty dang good. This is going to be fun to pull. Can't wait to see this one. I want to thank this week's sponsor, Pale Blue Batteries. You know, I like nice high-end flashlights, and you know what powers my flashlights? Pale Blue rechargeable batteries. What I like about them is I can take a power bank on the go. There's a USB-C port right on the battery. I can plug it in, charge on the go. Pale Blue batteries, they're awesome. It's been about 3 hours. Let's take this thing apart. So what we'll do As we'll just loosen everything up, take all the bolts off, and we'll start demolding here. There's that one. There's that one. This twist is looking cool. I think this is going to be amazing. We're going to take this one apart. Okay, there's that section. There's that section. Just take your time, be patient. Okay, a couple little chips, nothing too crazy. Let's make the other half. It's gonna be cool. We've got 4 halves now cast. There's a top and a bottom. The bottom, I've added a leg, and so the back half of the bottom mold, I made a separate part that captures and makes that leg. So both sides, that's how that works. The rest of the molds are the same. This interfaces with that one. So what we're gonna do next, before we bond these two together, is we gotta put this sound dampening foam in. And before we do that, so there's some adhesive on here. I've got a lot of curves. It's just not flat. I don't trust this adhesive. So what we're gonna do is use this 3M bonding spray. I've made some patterns, so these go in here like so we can get everything set to go. So we're gonna get to that step next. I'm gonna mask off the edge. I don't want this adhesive on that. I don't want it to inhibit the bonding of the 2 halves together. So we're gonna get to that step. So I'm gonna mask off everything. We'll spray this on this surface and the back side of this, stick it in, and get to that point. You gotta be very careful. Once you position it, it's in. You're not changing it. So just make sure this is in the right spot. Push it down. This is looking good. Okay, we got this piece right here. Stick that one in place. Alright, this piece goes here. There we go. And then the front piece right there. Looking good. I think I'll add a little piece back here. But other than that, this is looking really, really good. This is going to be almost ready to bond the 2 halves together. I had to trim a few little spots on the foam that were high. The edge is clean. It's ready to bond. I'm using this Loctite PL Max Premium. And now we're just going to put just a decent bead. I don't want like too much, but just enough. And we're going to make sure there's no gaps, because we want this to be sealed well. And a little bit more here. All right, let's put the top on, just like so. Kind of squish it a little bit, line it up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take and just gently clamp this thing. Not too much, just enough. One on the back, and I think we'll be good to go. This takes about 24 to 48 hours, so we'll see you back then. It's been a couple of days. This adhesive should be plenty cured by now, so let's take some clamps off. So just gently take these off. That's how the speaker's gonna sit. Very cool. So next step, start sanding all the parting lines, the seams. I've got a little angle grinder. I'll just start cleaning this all up, and we'll get it ready for primer. They're all primed. They look pretty dang good. There's just a few little flaws that I just need to address. I have some spot putty and a glove. I just take a little finger and just smear some of the little minor defects. Just get it ready for paint. Just kind of look it over. I'm going to use a textured paint, so I'm not going to be super fussy on the finish, but just some of the little more glaring areas, I'll touch them up with the spot putty. So the next step is I need to drill some holes for the speaker. We'll do that 4 times. The next step is going to be paint, and I'll see you at that point. So the speckled paint I'm going to use does not cover well. So whatever the undertone color is, it's going to reflect that. So on top of the gray primer, I did this white primer just to give it a white undertone before I put this on. The paint job is done. These look so good. I love this texture. I know I use this on a lot of projects, but there's a reason I use it. It's a good looking paint job. It's a textured paint. It hides a lot of the flaws, and the twist with this texture looks fantastic. I'm so pleased so far with this project. So our next step, we got to get to wiring. I need to make a wiring harness, so I'm going to get set up for that, and we'll get to that point. I've got these waterproof connectors that I'm going to use. This makes it so that this snaps together, makes a totally waterproof connection. These are going to be outdoor speakers, so I obviously want to make sure that the connection is waterproof. So what we're going to do next is I've got a piece of wire that's going to be on the inside. I'm going to twist these together and then twist them back on themselves, and then put them into my little soldering jig, and then we'll just solder these together. I'll put the shrink wrap, a little tube on here in a second, but this is the next step. My cool little 3D printed wire holder seemed to work pretty well, and I think this joint is going to be just fine. I'm not an expert at soldering, but it's not going anywhere. So our next step is to put these shrink tubes on. I'm going to slide these onto the wire, make sure that's in the middle, right about there, right about there. Then we turn our heat gun on. Now just have it on low, doesn't take a lot of heat, but you just kind of roll it and you see it starting to shrink in the middle there. Now we'll go on this side. You just want it nice and snug. That's good there. Get the other side, and there you go. That's a great protected joint. We'll do the black one. This heat shrink tubing does really well and really easy to, you could probably just use a hair dryer. This is more of an industrial heat gun. It does quite a nice job. Okay, that is ready to roll. The wiring harness is put together. I've got my little wiring hole here, so we're going to reach in on one side, push this in until I can feel it on the other side, and I'm going to pull it through. Now I want the joints to be just inside, like so. There we go, right about there. So I'm going to hot glue this. This will leave me enough leads on the outside to get the speaker soldered, and then I have a waterproof way to connect this thing, and we'll put the driver in next. Let's solder these speakers to the wires. We are just about done with this build. This is going to be fun. I can't wait to hear this. So let's kind of go through here and make sure we got a good solid connection, and I'll see you at that next point. The drivers are all soldered in. It's time to position them in the little recess. That's a little snug fit there. That's good, a good fit though. That's okay. So now it's time to add some screws. I'm gonna put them in by hand. I could put them in with the drill, but I don't want to strip or mar the surface in any way. So, and it's just quick with the screwdrivers. The driver's got a nice gasket behind it, and this fits in this recess perfectly. We're gonna get a really nice seal on this driver. This is gonna be okay. Let's plug this thing and see how it goes. The moment of truth has arrived. I've got them hooked up to this Fosi MC101 little power amp. This works really well. I like it. I'm wired up with my wireless connectors. So let's plug in some music and see how they sound.
I woke up this morning feeling mighty fine.
You know, these sound pretty good. For these little drivers, I'm pretty impressed. The idea for this project was background music, not a hi-fi system, outside my pavilion, and these are going to be great for that. If you'd like the files for these projects, you can find them at timberwestdesign.com. For a small fee, you can 3D print your own molds, cast your own concrete projects, and have some fun like I do. I am super pleased with how this build turned out. You know, I don't think I would do anything different. I love the twist, I love the color. This driver I think is a great choice for background music. So if you want to like, share, subscribe this video, that'd be awesome. If you subscribe, you're going to see some fun stuff coming up, because I always have some cool projects every week, and I'd love to have you join. We'll see you next time.